Hello everyone, and welcome to That Scene. In this video, I will be raising some crucial plot questions about Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which are yet to be answered. I originally planned to accurately answer all the questions, but soon realized this would be difficult without input from the movie makers themselves. So I just decided to raise the questions, while attempting to answer some of them in a way that seems most logical to me. So first, the questions which I cannot answer. Question number 1. Where did Maz Kanata get Luke's blue lightsaber from?
Where'd you get that?
A good question. For another time.
Question number 2. Why does Chewbacca not seem to have any connection with Ben Solo, the son of Han Solo, a very close friend? Although backlash was already evident for Chewbacca's relationship with Princess Leia in the ending scene, it doesn't make sense why Chewbacca did not have any connection with Kylo Ren. In fact, he just shoots at him. Or maybe he didn't kill him because he knows it is Han's boy. Question number 3. Why was Kylo Ren unable to force pull his old lightsaber?
That lightsaber. It belongs to me.
If the lightsaber was once wielded by Kylo Ren, then why did it not come back to him? This is not Thor's hammer, which can only be used by him or those worthy of it. It is not even the Excalibur, or the sword in the stone. And this is definitely not the Elder's Wand from Harry Potter. So it doesn't make sense why the lightsaber didn't go into his hands as soon as he tries to force pull it. I mean, the kyber crystal within the lightsaber is not the extension of the Force, so it cannot decide in whose hands it will come. And it is just an object, so it cannot resist the call from a Dark Force user. Maybe he was incredibly conflicted and unable to focus and concentrate when he is emotional. However, we should note that Anakin was able to wield both type of lightsabers even when he was conflicted. Question number 4. Why did Snoke never complete Kylo Ren's training? Was it because he sensed conflict within him and did not want to take the risks of being overthrown?
Leave the base at once and come to me with Kylo Ren. It is time to complete his training.
Question number 5. Why does Princess Leia only send Chewbacca and Rey to get Luke Skywalker, when in fact it would make more sense and actually be more effective if she was to go and seek out her brother herself? She does not have to babysit the army of the Resistance. Question number 6. Who is Snoke and where does he come from? And probably the most important question of all. Question number 7. Why don't we hear the porgs in the final scene? I was just joking about the last question. So now let's get into talking about certain questions that I have attempted to answer. Question number 1. Why did Luke teach Ben the ways of the Force, knowing his dark future? Why did Luke Skywalker teach Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, the ways of the Force when he knew that Ben would turn to the dark side in the future? Now, I have made a major assumption in this question, which is that Luke Skywalker did indeed foresee the future, and I did this rightfully so, because he is a Jedi Master and had foreseen the future countless of times. Yoda had done the same with Anakin in the past.
Clouded this boy's future is.
And Luke should be able to do the same as a Grand Master, with a surplus of guidance from multiple Force ghosts, including Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I cannot accept that Luke was naive as a teacher, and so another alternative would be that Luke did not want to look inside the minds and hearts of his students, because this was something he associated with Dark Force users.
Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. So, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Now let's actually move into discussing why Luke taught Ben the ways of the Jedi, knowing his dark future. I believe this to be the case, because he honestly thought he could bring him back to the light by teaching him the morals of the Jedi. However, Luke is known to make impulsive decisions based on what he foresees in the future, and suffered the consequences, such as losing an arm, and in this case, losing his nephew. A more simpler explanation would be that even though he did foresee the darkness growing inside Ben Solo, he had no other choice but to teach him so that he can protect his nephew. Question number 2. Why did Kylo Ren agree with Lor San Tekka about his lineage? When Lor San Tekka reminds Kylo Ren about his family and where he comes from, Kylo Ren agrees, remarking,
You're so right.
before striking him down. He seems to agree about it, even though he despises his father.
He means nothing to me.
I wanted to ask whether he agreed that he comes from the light or whether he comes from the dark. His lineage is conflicted in itself, as it originates from Anakin, who was a Force user without allegiance to the light or the dark. And he spent part of his life in the light, and most part of it in the dark. His mother, Princess Leia, was always in the light, and barely used the Force. His uncle, Luke Skywalker, was a Jedi, and managed to help his father come to the light as well. So what is Kylo Ren agreeing with? I think Kylo Ren agrees only because he sees himself as Darth Vader, which is probably why he only kept Darth Vader's helmet, but not Anakin's lightsaber, once he destroyed most of the Jedi Order. Question number 3. How did Snoke manage to manipulate Ben Solo in the presence of Luke Skywalker? In addition to Luke Skywalker foreseeing the dark future of Ben Solo, Luke should have also been able to sense Snoke trying to seduce Ben towards the dark side. Perhaps he did, which is probably why Luke worked harder to save his nephew. And since he was unable to, Luke ended up exiling himself on an island, just as Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi had done in the past.
Hello there.
Coming back to the question though, it seems difficult to turn someone to the dark side without them being in conflict. In the prequels, Emperor Palpatine seduces Anakin to the dark side by spending countless of hours talking to him, and poisoning his mind with hatred for the Jedi. However, he was only able to do this because Anakin was already in conflict to begin with. So when it comes to Ben Solo, we don't really know if he was in conflict. However, we do know that he already had too much of Darth Vader in him, or possibly the love for him, which means that he idolized his grandfather from the beginning, and Princess Leia makes mention of this as the exact reason why she wanted Ben to train with Luke.
There's too much Vader in him.
That's why I wanted him to train with Luke.
Snoke may have taken advantage of this by sending evil thoughts in Ben Solo's dreams about Darth Vader, causing Ben to start idolizing not only his grandfather's dark persona, but his dark motives as well. Doing so would have been easy in the presence of Luke, especially when Ben would be alone in the academy, close to the shrine of Anakin, where Darth Vader's helmet may have been. Question number 4. What caused the Force to suddenly awaken inside Rey? Moments before Snoke asks Kylo Ren
Have you felt it?
about feeling the awakening of the Force, Rey seems to be with Han Solo under attack, and for the first time in her life ever since she was left on Jakku, her survival instincts were triggered. The Force within her was awakened, remaining at a subconscious level. However, when Finn tells Rey about his real identity and how he was a stormtrooper and taken from a family he will never know, the Force starts communicating with her, reminding her of how she was taken from her family as well, and how she longed for her family and wanted them to come back in the same way she wanted Finn to stay and not leave her. The parallels in what was happening in the present moment and what had happened in the past allowed the Force to speak to her. Question number 5. How did Rey learn to connect with the Force? After watching Force Awakens, I'm sure everyone was puzzled about Rey and her odd connection with the Force. First off, we all know that when Snoke says the Force has awakened, he is referring to the Force within Rey. However, if it was always within her, what was it doing this whole time? We all know that as soon as it awakens in her, it guides her to one of the chambers in Maz Kanata's hideout. I truly believe that the events revolving around the incident was the product of the force within her. Things such as opening of the door and guidance towards the lightsaber. It doesn't make sense if the lightsaber talks to Rey, opens the door and shows her the past of what had happened with it. However, it does make sense that the force within Rey connected with the force ghosts of all those who had come into contact with the lightsaber before, including Anakin, Yoda, Luke, Kylo Ren, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who seems to be calling out to her, letting her know that these are her first steps. You would notice it doesn't show Ben Solo, the last person to have used the lightsaber, but only Kylo Ren, and this may play some role in why the lightsaber doesn't come to him in the final fight scene, but this is just speculation. Nevertheless, the lightsaber is quick to help Rey realize that it wants to connect with Luke once again, which is why Rey instantly believes that her future is with Luke. Another example of the Force talking to Rey is when Rey uses the Jedi mind trick. It is impossible for her to learn this out of nowhere. However, it is interesting that few moments before she uses the trick, she was being interrogated by Kylo Ren, who was trying to use the Jedi mind trick on her, or something similar, but darker in method. Through this brief interaction, it is possible that she was able to learn Jedi skills that Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, had learned from Luke as his student, although it may have been at a subconscious level. The same thing seems to occur in the final duel with Kylo Ren. She taps into her subconscious mind and communicates with the Force that had awoken inside of her, allowing her to actualize and use the Force like never before. This was something she picked up from Maz Kanata.
Close your eyes. Feel it. The light. It's always been there. It will guide you.
So remember guys, this is all just speculation, and hopefully someone can answer these questions. If you have more questions, let me know in the comment section below. And let me know what you guys think about the answers to the questions I have raised. Thank you for taking the time to watch another episode of That Scene.